This was a strange case. It was weird how everything was pieced together. I'm putting this down so I can try to make sense of it. The accounts of everything that we gauged happened. One of Jasmine's colleagues was quoted as saying Jasmin Crain was intimidating. He nervously adjusted his glasses. She didn't just walk into a room, she owned it. Always in a sharp suit, always prepared, and always one step ahead. People joked that she was a machine, no emotion, no distractions, just results. But it wasn't a joke to those of us who knew or worked under her, says her colleagues. She didn't have time for weakness. And examining footage from the office, it supports the description of Jasmine's demeanor. She's composed, efficient, and detached. She rarely smiles and cuts off small talk with a sharpness that clearly makes her colleagues uneasy. One particular piece of evidence shows this very clearly. Jasmine's addressing a room of executives. One of the executives says something about his kid. She interrupts quickly. If it doesn't serve the bottom line, it's irrelevant. She lacks sympathy. She doesn't seem to care about anyone. I spoke to a barista that Jasmine was known to encounter. Her morning routine included a quick stop at the corner coffee shop, where she'd order the same drink every day: black coffee, no sugar, no cream. The barista explained.
She never looked up from her phone. She didn't say thank you. She'd just grab her coffee and leave. She was not nice, very short, and always driven.
The barista does note there was a day where things were a little bit different.
Jasmine arrived to the shop late. She was holding a strange plant. She looked detached,
As the barista would say.
almost soft, like she had been somewhere else entirely.
The barista also noted that when she asked about the plant,
Jasmine smiled.
she had never seen her smile before. And in a weird way, the barista said,
It was a bit unnerving.
in the records, I found some surveillance footage. A nearby street camera captured Jasmine. She was walking briskly, as usual, when she stops abruptly. She bends down to pick something up. She examines whatever it is in the ground for quite some time. We now believe this to be the plant. She looks around as if expecting someone to stop her. She examines it for some time, and then she picks it up and cradles it like a baby or some kind of fragile treasure. I tried to talk to another neighbor, Mr. Wilkins. His account of Jasmine were very similar to everyone else's. She wasn't a friendly type. Hell, she lived right across the hallway and she'd barely nod or say anything as I passed by her. She was kind of a bitch if you ask me. Well, all the way up until there close to the end. I think one day I saw her carrying something home, and after that day, she was weird. I would see her from time to time. She would smirk at me. It was odd. She wasn't the type to smile. I saw her less and less, but I heard her more and more through the walls. Over the days, I would hear her at night, as if she was talking to someone, but I never saw anyone come in or out. And then I would hear her laughing through the walls. It wasn't like a laughter that someone told a good joke. It was a deep belly laugh. It was eerie, unnerving. I think I preferred when she was mean. Found footage from her apartment shows that Jasmine did return that day she found the plant. Security cameras show her entering, and then over the course of the next few weeks, Her behavior became strange, her movements erratic in and out of the building. Eventually, she stopped leaving for work altogether. It looks like she was placing deliveries and orders daily. Strange behavior. I spoke to her assistant. Her assistant states she looked up to Jasmin as a mentor. She thought that she was everything a woman should be. And she states that Jasmin changed, but it was after a trip. The trip took place shortly after Jasmin found the plant initially. The account from the assistant says,
Jasmin left on the plane reluctantly. She knew the business trip was important, and Jasmin started to call more often than she would. She would ramble about taking care of something. It, it was like she was obsessed with it. She cut her trip short, which was strange. Jasmin had never cut a trip short. She then wouldn't come into work. At one point, I tried to visit, and she got mad at me. She wouldn't let me in her apartment. She even screamed at me to leave her alone.
Her assistant seemed confused by this. She went on to elaborate.
Jasmin was never one to be shy or reclusive.
As far as she was concerned, when she would show up at Jasmin's apartment before, Jasmin would have her in, force her to sit down, drink a cup of coffee, as Jasmin would spout orders and things at her. Things had changed. Things were different. The last piece of evidence, one of the strangest and most crucial, Jasmin's journal. We found it. Quotes in the book before the text became almost illegible, and scribbles or some kind of odd writing state, it's more than just a plant. It's alive in ways I can't explain. It listens to me. It understands me. And for the first time, I don't feel alone. Jasmin would express this sentiment throughout her journal. She would say how this plant showed her things, told her things. It gave her a new outlook on life. Later entries would be illegible, but we could pick out some of the words: serve, master, mine. Jasmin had missed work for 3 weeks without communication before someone went to look for her. She hadn't paid rent. The property manager finally decided to check her apartment. It wasn't unheard of for someone that was reclusive like her to die alone. It was something that would happen in the city. But when the building manager entered her apartment, they found Jasmin's body, intertwined in vines from a plant. Roots looked like they had burrowed into her skin, wrapped around her arms, her legs, her torso. Her eyes were open, glazed over. Her face bore serene, almost blissful expression. Photo evidence from the scene reveals the apartment had been taken over by the plant. The vines crawl across the wall ceiling, glowing faintly. Investigators speculate, did she feed herself to the plant? Photo evidence would show cuts on her arm that look like they were placed there, if you will, by someone. Razor blades and X-Acto knives would be found at scene. After the Jasmin incident, neighbors reported the plant had been growing through the walls of the building and outside in the community garden. A hazmat team was sent in to remove it. Some of the plants did glow, but they were faded. They didn't have the same iridescent glow of the one inside Jasmin's apartment. Residents claimed that they could hear whispers from inside her apartment. Even now, even after everything's been removed. The hazmat team examined the plant. The lab results say inconclusive. And from the documents I found, there is some information that's been redacted. This incident I find baffling. Jasmin was a woman defined by her coldness. She was detached and her relentless pursuit of success made her put others to the side. This plant seemed to change her. Did it awaken something? Her need for connection, for love? Or was it predatory? Did it just draw her in with the promise of something she'd never had before? This truth remains elusive, buried in the cracks of the sidewalk. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this short story, Growing Obsession. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked it, please leave me a like and subscribe. I'm new to this whole creepypasta genre, and I want to try to add something to it. Comment below any feedback that you have. I'm open to it. Again, thanks.